If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement. Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Malulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the Colts here. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Happy to be here with you. Sports by the Book, live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. I'm Alex White alongside Ryan McCormick. I'm excited for another fun show here. We have a lot to get to, but first we got to start with a little recap. Last 2 days have been pretty brutal for me. I feel like I lost a couple last night that I should have had. Oilers find a way to lose again after having a nice 2-goal lead last night. And then in the MACtion, Miami, Ohio had a chance driving down the field and threw a pick. So Ohio was the better team. They got the win there. Both favorites did cover. And Ryan, I know you've got some trends and numbers from last night where the home teams were very fortunate, except for, of course, our Rebels, which we hate to see.
Yeah. So you mentioned the two college football games. So both the favorites won straight up and against the spread. Totals went 1-1. Both of the winners of the games happened to be the home team. If we go to the hardwood college basketball, road teams. I'll go home team specifically. Home team specifically were 34-2 yesterday straight up. UNLV and Fordham were the two losses at home. UNLV opened a 13, or UT Martin opened a 13-1 underdog on the money line. Ended up closing 11-1, so they did see some action there. On UT Martin against the Rebels, which ended up paying off. But then you also go to the NBA. Favorites were 5-1 straight up, 4-1-1 against the spread, and totals were 2-4. And then if you go to the ice, favorites were 6-3-1. The Hurricanes-Rangers game was a pick'em and ultimately won by the road team. Totals were 4-6. And across college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, NBA, and NHL, home teams yesterday went 50-8 straight up. 50 wins, 8 losses across those 5 versions of those sports.
It's pretty incredible. And then you had something for today where a lot of home teams are the favorite again.
Yeah, so in those same sports, women's basketball, women's college basketball, men's college basketball, the NBA, the NHL, and college football today, home teams are favored in 30 of those 32 games.
Pretty wild. And we have a poll coming to you later, second half of the show, about the home teams on the ice. See which ones you guys like tonight to get a win. But great stuff by you. It was a good day in college basketball overall. I did enjoy that Duke and Texas game. And I mean, Maction's back, so that's a lot of fun. Trade deadline is over. We'll touch on that. But a couple more things I want to hit on, which is the college playoffs. The first selection show last night. So we do have the first picture. I want to start there. Then the second half of the show, we're going to get NFL deep. We're going to catch everybody up on the awards, any movement for divisions to win it all, things like that. I'll give my top 10. We'll go through Chris Andrews' top 10 offense and defensive efficiency numbers. And then we'll wrap up the show with some betting action that we like for tonight in tonight's game or looking ahead to the weekend. And of course, we have Bruce Marshall's professional sports bettor, one of the best to do it. We have some of his picks for this weekend too. So going back, college football, it seems like the consensus is everybody's pretty happy with this first 12-team picture that they did put out there yesterday. I didn't really see any faults. Anything from you, Ryan?
No, my only quabble with the playoff selection was the fact that Booger McFarland gets an opinion on the show. I hate listening to Booger, and he made an argument that Texas A&M should be the number one team in the country because Ohio State doesn't have a resume. And then everybody else on the desk was like, all right, well, the eye test is a part of this as well. And so, yeah. Outside of that, I'm very happy with what the committee did and with this 12. Our poll actually asks you guys which team of the current 12, which four of the current 12, which of those four would not be in the playoff once we get to the time. So the prices that you see, the DraftKings odds are the no price. So Oregon to not make the playoff, plus 180. Notre Dame to not make the playoff, plus 275. Texas Tech to not make the playoff, plus 240. And the Ole Miss Rebels to not make the playoff at plus 650.
Pretty crazy looking at some of those numbers. And we were talking about it off air, but looking at Virginia, I mean, the no price is a heavy favorite, right? And if you still like them to finish, make it to the ACC and win it, you're getting a good plus price there on the yes. So couple things to look out for if you are looking for ways to bet it. But there's some fascinating ones. It is not even close to over, right? There's going to be a lot of things that happen. And that's really funny about the eye test thing too, because I mean, everyone can see that Texas A&M, their defense is clearly a little suspect, and Ohio State has the best defense in the country. So I cannot argue or hear that argument at all. I said yesterday I thought they might put Indiana because if you look at how their rankings are, they have Oregon higher than Texas,
Yep.
and those are Ohio State and Indiana's two best wins.
Yeah, and Ohio State's was at home and Indiana's was on the road.
That's right. That's true too. Yeah. So very interesting. We'll see how it all pans out. I was kind of looking at Georgia, honestly. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Virginia and BYU and the luck box and them kind of getting away with these wins, but nobody's really talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, who are not the same Kirby Smart team here. And they've been pretty fortunate. I mean, officials had a role in the Auburn game. They snuck away from Mississippi State. So a couple, and now they've got still to come. They got Mississippi State this week, which is on the road, but then they do have 3 home games. So that might benefit them. But I don't know. I could see them losing another one for sure. And then it gets really interesting with the SEC.
Yeah, if Georgia falls, it does get super interesting with the SEC. Texas would have to win out. If Oklahoma and Texas win out, that means that Alabama takes a loss and Georgia takes a loss. And so kind of all hell breaks loose. And we won't see Texas A&M versus Alabama in the SEC championship game. We'll get a different matchup. So, but current price over at DraftKings has Georgia minus 500 to make the playoff, plus 380 on the no. And the thing that I want to mention, you had brought up Virginia. DraftKings has Virginia to not make the playoff as a minus. Let me make sure I get this right. Minus. Where'd it go? It disappeared. That's weird. I had to reload it, and now it's gone.
I think I actually had written it down from you. It was like minus 350, right?
Oh, found it. Okay, minus 550. Virginia,
550.
yeah, to not make the playoff is minus 550. Virginia to make the playoff is 4-1. And then you look at the other teams in the ACC. Louisville is plus 190 to make the playoff. So that's kind of where DraftKings sees it going. Is the ACC will be won by the Louisville. Their no is minus 230. Georgia Tech. Here, let me go Miami first. Miami is 5-1 to actually make the playoff. They'll have to win out and get the help. Georgia Tech is plus 250. They'll end up having to beat Georgia. So yeah, currently DraftKings has Louisville as the favorite to win the ACC and pushing Virginia out.
I do not hate that 5-1 if you want to sprinkle a little on Miami because their schedule is pretty favorable. I do think they can win out and then maybe get some help if the SEC is just crazy and then they do find a way to put 2 ACC teams in. It's pretty wild that, last year it was just all this noise about we're not getting 2 Big 12. There's no way, they kind of beat each other up. And now the ACC did that this year, but I still think they are a good conference. Looking at Virginia's schedule, though, so they do only have 3 games left, but they do run into 3 teams that are playing pretty good football right now, and they have to host Wake Forest, who has kind of already been a spoiler. They go to Duke, who just beat Clemson by 1 and is starting to really figure it out with their young quarterback. And then they have Virginia Tech, so that's going to be a tough game. It's never easy. And Virginia Tech has, we've seen some of the upside, right, from the coaching change throughout these last few weeks. So interesting stuff there. I want to go to Louisville's schedule now to see how much easier it is or what they perceive it to be because, yeah, okay, so they host Cal and Clemson, go to SMU, and then they have Kentucky at the end there. But, of course, that one does not count, so.
Yeah, not towards the conference standings, but it'll still be a resume bolster that if they end up winning that game, that'll be an SEC win.
True.
Granted, Kentucky's not necessarily at the top of the SEC. They're actually at the bottom of the SEC, but it still is an SEC win. So, yeah, Louisville would definitely have an argument there. I mean, yeah, ACC will ultimately, at least in my mind, and sounds like in yours too, the ACC will be a 1-bid league.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, though. I don't know. I'm not totally sold on it just yet because what happens even this week? We got BYU and Texas Tech playing each other.
Yeah.
So what are we going to see next week in the standings? One of them is not going to be in it.
Yeah, and then the biggest question mark in kind of allowing the conferences to get extra bids is the one team that doesn't belong to a conference, and it is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And the fact that they won't get an automatic bid by winning a conference, and they have the 2 losses by a combined 4 points as the blemishes from the beginning of the year. So if they win out, I don't know how you keep them out, but you also have to look at the other bodies of work. So say Texas wins out, say Oklahoma wins out, and say Notre Dame wins out. That means Georgia gets a 3rd loss. That means Alabama gets a 2nd loss. And we'd have to play an Ole Miss in there as well. So I tend to think that Notre Dame would get the benefit of the doubt. And the fact that they lost early in the year in those 2 games by a combined 4 points. So again, it is very much the eye test, and we are going to get some great football, some meaningful football the next few weeks. That
right there, what you just said, because so you have in that scenario Texas A&M winning out, right? Or winning out and winning the SEC potentially?
I ultimately think it will be Texas A&M and Alabama in the SEC championship game. So both of them would make the playoff.
But if Texas wins out, then they beat A&M, but A&M could still make it into the championship. But then Notre Dame lost to A&M, and then Texas has a win over them.
Right.
So that's where it would get a little bit dicey there. But I'm with you. I think Notre Dame is, as long as they win, I think they get them into the 12-team playoff.
Everyone's going to make a big thing about, the head-to-head wins matter, but you also have to think of the timing of when it was. Early year loss, when we took the earlier losses from Texas, and we thought that they were abysmal and awful, and did the same thing to Notre Dame. And then we've kind of brought Notre Dame back up, but we've needed to see more from Texas in order to bring them back up. So how much are we really just trying to get Texas there?
Right.
Versus knowing what we're getting. Like, I don't trust Steve Sarkisian whatsoever. I would much more trust a Marcus Freeman coaching staff in the playoff than Steve Sarkisian's.
Agree 100%. And honestly, I don't think Texas is going to win out. Here they got to go to Georgia.
Yeah.
So they do have a bye week, so that is nice. They'll be ready to play the Bulldogs, but then they host Arkansas and then A&M on their schedule left. So I don't know. I don't see it. I think they've been pretty fortunate as well, but I wanted to give, I actually got a text yesterday from our good friend Sammy P, where he had some numbers already looking at those 4 matchups. Of course, one of them is a home team. So when you're making your numbers, his SEC numbers, I don't know where they came from. I know he kind of does a collab with different power ratings, so it might have been it. But he had Georgia and Ole Miss, pretty big favorites. I was comparing them to mine. I wanted to ask Chris Andrews as well, so he sent me these this morning. So he'd have Georgia 14 at home against Memphis. Feels pretty good there. That's actually very close to mine. Ole Miss, he'd have 13 over Virginia. I would probably only have Ole Miss 10, but remember, I've been kind of high on this Virginia team and their power rating kind of high. Pick them for Texas Tech hosting Oregon, which makes sense. That means Oregon's about 3 points better on a neutral. And then Notre Dame, just 6.5 point favorites on the road at BYU, which mine wasn't that high, but then I had to look at Kenny White's as well, and his would be more like 7. So I could see that 6.5 being bet up to 7 right away. That would be a great toggler for Vinny, right? People taking the 7 with the Cougars there. But anything that jumps out to you? Because I know, so Sammy had Georgia and Ole Miss close to 17 or 20. I should pull that up and get the exact number, but I mean, kind of makes sense. I guess we have to see what we get from Memphis and Virginia the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these lines were taken from right now.
Yeah.
At the current moment, I would think that the Ole Miss number would balloon from the 13, but ultimately it would be a wait for me and getting the best number I could on Virginia and seeing where I could get the best number on Virginia, just because we've seen that Ole Miss kind of has folded in the fourth quarter the last couple of weeks and have a history of doing that under Lane Kiffin. So I would think that really double digits in a playoff game might be too much there at Ole Miss. But for Georgia, 2 touchdowns is a lot going against Memphis, but they would just be the group of 5 winner and getting the credit there. And you're getting Kirby Smart in the playoff, getting his guys fired up. So ultimately that would be a stay off for me. Notre Dame at BYU minus the 7.5. I think I'd have to take the Cougars going into that environment. And then I love Dan Lanning in Oregon. I think if you give him any type of bulletin board material, I get you're going into Lubbock or would be going into Lubbock, but I would take the Ducks there. Yeah,
I agree with that. I was looking at my dad's too. His would be closer to 3 with Oregon being the favorite on the road there, and that might pan out. We'll see how Texas Tech does. This is a big test this weekend. A few more coming up. Memphis is interesting. We saw them beat Arkansas outright, but that was at home and now on the road. So, but the interesting thing too is Memphis has Tulane this weekend. So they've got a tough test ahead of them, and they got to keep winning to even keep that spot.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about it going into this or last week, because Tulane and Memphis were the 2 teams in the top of the American, and Tulane ended up having a look ahead and losing their game, and Memphis handled business. So, Memphis has the edge in the standings in the American right now.
Jeez, and then I'll tell you now, I do like the points with Tulane, especially when you know it was a dead look ahead right there. Right. They lost to UTSA. They're going to be ready for this one, and then makes it a little more interesting with the American there. But love it. I love this time of the year. We got 4 weeks left. A lot of teams going to have their bye between them. A lot of teams playing 4 games straight. And then we'll get into the playoffs there. But any final thoughts for you or about the playoff picture so far?
Not necessarily. I think they got it right with the 4 that are getting the bye right now in Ohio State, Indiana. No quabbles at the moment.
And then it's Texas first one out, right? And then
Texas
Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma. Yep.
So we'll see what happens with those 2 moving forward. But The only thing that I'm just curious about the ACC and see how that works out. And I know it's really because you don't have the big names, like you don't have Clemson or Florida State or Miami at the top. So it's automatically become a one-team bid, but we'll see if that all works out. Okay, what about trade deadlines? Any news? Because we fortunately got to break a lot of the biggest stuff on our show yesterday morning. But anything else or any takeaways from the trade deadlines before we get into the current odds and if anything moved because of it?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets were the biggest sellers. They did trade Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, one to the NFC or AFC title contender in the Colts, and not so title contender in the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know why the Cowboys were one of the biggest buyers at this deadline, but it happened to be the Eagles absolutely going all in and trying to make the most in their window. Now the Colts doing the same, and those Cowboys were the biggest buyers.
Geez, the Eagles. It feels like it every single year. The only thing I could make the case for the Cowboys is, I guess, kind of looking at the Commanders falling apart. We don't know when Jaden Daniels is coming back, so then maybe thinking they've got a shot to actually get a wild card there, right? And kind of try and hang around in that division with the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't get why you traded Micah Parsons. Why you did that, why you didn't want to pay him, and then now we're making these acquisitions, and now you're going to have to pay Quinnen Williams if you're making that kind of trade, and you ultimately give up a pick that you got from the Packers for Micah Parsons to get Quinnen Williams. They gave up a second in this next draft and a first in 2027, and that first round pick will be the better of their own or the Packers pick.
Oh my God.
So why I just don't understand. I get Jerry owns the team, but I just can't fathom just owners doing what they want with their money. He did say it. He just wants to be relevant. He doesn't necessarily care about going to win a Super Bowl every year. He just wants to be mentioned. He wants to be part of the conversation. Yeah, I'm sure your fans love just being part of the conversation and being absolutely crushed every time your team is mentioned.
Well, one thing you know for sure, Ryan, is they're still racing through once that stadium opens every Sunday. So still making the money there, that's for sure. But let's start right there with the NFC picture. I'm curious, any odds movement now? And we've been talking about the NFC and how competitive it really is from the West to the North. Couple good teams. I mean, Carolina's sneaking up there with Tampa Bay now for that division. And then really, it feels like the Giants and the Commanders are on the back end. We'll see if the Cowboys can get a couple wins there for that division.
Yeah, I mean, it's 7 teams that make the playoffs, and there's 7 teams underneath 15-1 to win the NFC.
Wow.
And Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings are the closest at 40-1, next to the Niners at 12. So, it's really just looking like it's going to be, or according to the books, it is just the top dogs in the Rams, Eagles, Lions, Packers, Seahawks, and Bucks. Bucks and Niners there at just over 10-1.
That's pretty good odds there, comparing them to power ratings I've seen in my own power ratings. But those top 5 that are shorter than 10-1 are all in my top 10, right? So you would imagine seeing them into the playoffs some way, somehow. And those odds make pretty much a lot of sense there. I would not fault you for taking any of the bottom 3, getting double digits there, because once you're in it, right, I think any of these teams could make a run in the playoffs.
Well, the Bucks are the only division leader that is a 10-1 or longer. So, you're talking about just getting in, and the Bucks are right there. They're the favorites to win the AFC South or NFC South, excuse me. And they're right there at double digits.
Hopefully, they can make a farther push than they did the last couple of years of Baker Mayfield, where kind of fall off after a game or two. But switching over to the AFC, which feels a lot more wide open here. So what do we got? Who's our top dogs?
Yeah, the 2 teams that just played each other this past weekend, but tied in the odds, plus 275 for both the Chiefs and the Bills to be crowned as AFC champions.
And then the Colts, who just made a big splash. Their odds must have dropped down a little bit there at 4-1. Anyone jump out to you, or is it worth taking anybody besides the Chiefs or the Bills, and hoping that the Bills can get over that hump. The Ravens have moved up my power ratings. We'll get to that, but I still think they have a long road ahead. Broncos kind of jump out to me. I do think if they can get their offense clicking and they could get in, I think with that defense, they could cause some trouble.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, will they have home field? Will they end up being a wild card team, or will they end up winning the AFC West?
Good point.
Because you're ultimately going to end up needing the other teams to go to your elevation, I think, in order to get that the impact that we want from the Broncos defense.
Texans, how far down are they right now behind? They're chasing the Jags and the Colts now.
Yep.
Wow, 3-5. So that's kind of other. What about the Steelers? They're at 22-1. Can we see their defense continue to improve like we did this last week? And I mean, pretty impressive against the Colts offense.
Yeah, absolutely. The defensive effort last week shocked me. Honestly, I was enamored with this Colts team going into last week. I'm still enamored with this Colts team. Granted, it is led by Daniel Jones. But yeah, the Steelers really getting off their defense, getting off the mat from really the first 9 weeks of the season and finally showing up. It was good to see, and it's what we've gotten used to them being under Mike Tomlin. So if they are going to step up and be that Pittsburgh Steelers defense, yeah, absolutely, 22-1 would be worth it, because you'll ultimately, I mean, they're in wild card position right now if they don't end up hanging on to win their division. So, yeah, you made the argument, just needed to get in, and you can pull off some shockers. So 22-1 might not be too bad.
Let's take a look at their schedule quickly, because I mean, just value wise, I do think that could be a good play, because they are leading right now in that division. But they go to LA to take on the Chargers, now an injured Chargers team. So that number might drop if they get the win as a 3-point dog this week. Then they host the Bengals. We know how their defense has been playing. They got your Chicago Bears next in Chicago. That's going to be a tough one. They host the Bills. They go to Baltimore. They get the Dolphins, which who knows where the Dolphins will be at that point in time. Hopefully kind of just letting the season go by then. But then they go to Detroit. They've got the Lions on their schedule. Cleveland, never easy in December, end of December. And then the Ravens again. So maybe the schedule has something to do with why you're still getting such a good price there.
Here, let me get my tinfoil hat real quick. You see that Week 18 matchup between the Steelers and Ravens? That could be the game to decide the AFC North.
Yeah.
And we said Lamar Jackson at 100-1 to win MVP last week. It's now the best price you can get is now 30-1 over on FanDuel. So if that game ultimately does end up coming down to Week 18, and it's a position to where it's you win and you're in, and you lose and you're out, like that kind of thing. You have to win the division to get in.
That could wrap it up for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, it may not.
Great transition or segue here into the MVP. Where is Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who would be playing on the other side?
Aaron Rodgers is 175-1 over on FanDuel.
Wow. Okay. Any other big movers on this MVP list?
Not necessarily. Really, just the biggest jump has been Lamar Jackson going from the bottom side of the right side at 100-1 2 weeks ago to now the seventh favorite at 30-1, 20-1 over on DraftKings.
Well, and Ryan, didn't we say last week, because of the Bills and Chiefs matchup, that one of those was going to drop?
Yeah.
So,
and that's why, Josh Allen did end up hopping Patrick Mahomes and is now the favorite. And he will have the head-to-head win in order to get the votes split.
Matthew Stafford still sitting there, better than 5-1, plus 550. I mean, he is playing very good as well. So,
yeah, Jonathan Taylor ended up falling after the down performance against the Steelers last week. Both Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor get jumped by Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts.
Interesting.
But yeah, best price now on Jonathan Taylor's 35-1. I think you're going to have to get probably at least 2 200-yard rushing games throughout the rest of the year in order to get that. To get him an actual argument there.
I would have to agree with you, definitely. And I know I complain a lot about this being a quarterback award. But right now, the way those top guys on the list are playing, I think it would be hard to make a case, right?
Yep. And the one guy or the one team that everybody is a shocker to everybody and does have in a lot of at least the big media's top fives is the Seattle Seahawks, and Sam Darnold kind of taking over that team. So he's now the 6th favorite at 20-1 best price over on DraftKings.
I think 20-1 might still have some value there. We think the Seahawks can keep it going because they are definitely rising on my top 10 week after week. And you're right. I'm not alone. I mean, we see a lot of with Chris Andrews or my dad's or other people's. Seattle's been there and they keep creeping up even more. So I'm excited to get to those. But I know we have some more awards that we want to check in on. Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the rookies, of course.
Yeah. So we'll go offensive player of the year first, and it is still led by Jonathan Taylor. Minus 135, the odds on favorite. Jackson Smith-Njigba follows. He's the only other one underneath 10-1 at plus 350. Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase. Best prices you can get are over on FanDuel. 11-1 for McCaffrey and Nacua, and 16 for Jamar Chase.
Your opinion, be honest. Doesn't this feel like a 3-horse race? Because how did Christian McCaffrey fall out of it so much and the other two jump ahead?
Yeah, I would have to think it's because the Niners aren't getting a lot of love right now in the media. And it is all the Jackson Smith-Njigba hype and the Seahawks hype kind of pushing those up there and inflating those. But, I mean, it is a 3-way tie currently in the NFC West between those 3 teams of those 3 star players. So I know we had made an argument for Nacua earlier in the year, and then he got hurt, and we've kind of seen that come back down. And Amon-Ra St. Brown just got hurt. We'll have to see him or see what his status is. But yeah, I do agree with you that it is up to those guys right at the top.
I guess one thing to consider, though, is looking at the numbers, and Jonathan Taylor with 12 touchdowns already on the year. I don't know if CMC can catch him with only 4.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're looking at yards and numbers, and then if they are kind of comparing, are we taking a running back or a wide receiver, then Jonathan Taylor already kind of knocks out Christian McCaffrey there. And that's kind of why it's narrowed down to 2. Where's James Cook on this list? Because
he's still on that left side. He's 30-1 over on DraftKings.
He's getting close to catching Jonathan Taylor, but he also has one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to get that one. Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. Where are we currently?
Micah Parsons is the favorite there. Best price for the top 3 guys. Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, and Aiden Hutchinson are all over on FanDuel. Plus 190 for Micah Parsons, $3 for Myles Garrett, and $450 for Aiden Hutchinson to win Defensive Player of the Year.
No issues for me. Nobody that really jumps out that I feel the need to take right now. Anything for you?
Yeah, nothing really jumps off the page. Again, I don't think you can give it to Myles Garrett if the Browns don't win at least 5 games. So ultimately, in my mind, it would be between the 2 NFC North guys.
It'll depend if he keeps having some crazy games where he has a ton of sacks and they still find a way to lose.
He is an absolutely incredible athlete, and he is one of the best athletes on the planet, best defensive players in the league. But in my mind, you have to. The NFL is about winning. Personal awards are great, and I get that that's what this is. But in my mind, you have to take the team at least somewhat into account. And the Browns, you chose to stay in an awful organization just for the money. You did not care about winning. You're not going to win an award, at least not in my mind.
Well, the other thing is it's really an award for being the best defensive player and the impact that you have on your team, right? And I mean, you can only do so much if you don't play offense, but kind of goes into that with the record anyways.
Yeah.
Rookies, any movement from either side, offensive or defensive?
Not a ton. Still led by Jackson Dart on the offensive side. He is the quarterback, and he will, granted, as long as he stays healthy, he will be starting for the rest of the year. And that is kind of the takeaway from Emeka Egbuka, who hasn't stayed healthy the last couple of weeks. They did just come off their bye, so hopefully he's back, and we'll get more of an argument there. Tyler Warren is double digits over on FanDuel. Ashton Genty's 20-1 over on FanDuel. You see any value there?
Well, remember, I took Tyler Warren plus 550. So sometimes you do great, and sometimes the number goes the opposite way. So 10-1 now, I think that's still a pretty good price. I don't think it's just Jackson Dart's award. I mean, even if you're getting a plus price there with Egbuka, especially with Mike Evans missing a larger chunk of time, don't know when Chris Godwin's coming back or fully healthy still, I think he still has a chance there. So maybe it can go away from Tyler Warren. Well, especially since Loveland is kind of stepping up too. So we're seeing other rookie tight ends and stuff jump up the board and look good. So maybe it takes away a little bit from him. But I don't know. It's tough. I mean, kind of like you're saying about the defensive player, the Giants have to win a certain amount of games, right? For Jackson Dart?
I don't know. We going into the year, the favorite was Cam Ward, and we didn't think the Titans were going to win many games at all. We just thought that he was going to be able to look impressive and be the franchise cornerstone for the Titans and look like the franchise cornerstone for the Titans. And he's now the last guy on the board that you see. So with Jackson Dart not getting the starts at the beginning of the year and now absolutely earned the starting job, the plays that he's able to make and the excitement that he brings to that team, that media market, as long as he stays healthy, I do ultimately think it's his award, but the way he plays, him staying healthy is a big question. So I don't think it's, over and done with, because injuries are possible. So there very well could be value down the board.
So I know and this is not your favorite team that you want to give awards to, but looking at Judkins here, and I know he's been dealing with some injuries, but if he returns and now you're getting 22-1, I wonder if there's any value there.
Oh, I mean, yeah, if he ends up looking like a stud and adds, but that's okay. So if we can, for the sake of argument, say the Browns offense does get a semblance under with Quinshon Judkins as their starting running back, that would ultimately mean that the Browns would be more competitive in games, ultimately giving Myles Garrett more opportunities to make impacts in games. So those two, would go hand in hand, considering that the offense and the sides of the ball do go hand in hand in determining games. But I don't see it. I don't see the Browns being a good team. I don't think their offensive line play is necessarily good enough. They do control the game on the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball. That is Myles Garrett's impact. But they don't win games.
Right.
And so, if we see that change and we see the Browns win more games, Quinshon Judkins will have the value at 22-1. And Myles Garrett, yes, obviously will certainly have an argument to win Defensive Player of the Year. But until they win games, I can't do it.
Just in my opinion, if he is healthy and he looks like he's coming back fully healthy, because he does have 5 touchdowns on the year already, and he was the bright spot of that offense, even though now we're seeing them move on from Joe Flacco, give Dylan Gabriel a shot there. I think he's better value than, say, Ashton Genty. And if we're kind of comparing those two, that would be the running back I would pick on the list for sure.
And I mean, even the guy right underneath him is 75-1 in Kyle Monangai. I realize it's a bear pointing it out, but he just got his first start and he got 180 plus yards. He runs angry. He's a 7th round pick out of Rutgers. 75-1 on Kyle Monangai. Like he will have somewhat of an argument, just because nobody thought that a 7th round pick would have any bit of a conversation to win any Rookie of the Year award.
100%. So that's because both running backs in front of him, right? So kind of forced to play. And then if he can keep that going from the last game, definitely you're going to see that number drop.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. He scored too, right?
He did not.
He didn't score.
He did not find the end zone. Yeah. It ended up being Corey Brown, the running back that found the end zone last week.
How about Coach of the Year? Any changes there? I have a feeling I know the top 3 that we have seen.
It is a runaway between these top 3. Shane Steichen plus 140, Mike Vrabel best price $2 over on FanDuel, and Mike McDonald $5 over on DraftKings. And then you get 17-1 on Kyle Shanahan, 19-1 on Sean Payton. And then you jump into the 20s, 27-1 on Rams head coach Sean McVay.
I think this is another one. I got to take it 5-1 right now. I know I could have got a much better price early on, but I do think it is between those three. And right now, you're getting the best price out of those three. And we'll see where the Colts and the Patriots go from here. But it's looking like there's a lot of people out there that believe in the Seahawks team. So.
Yeah, and we have Dean Hilt in our chat pointing out that Seattle does play the Rams twice to finish up their schedule, or they do play the Rams twice to finish up their schedule. They also have the Cardinals this week, and then the Niners in the final week of their season. So still 4 divisional matchups, and they are the division leader at the moment. So, yeah, if they are able to handle those games and win the head-to-head against Sean McVay, yeah, you should absolutely have an argument for Mike McDonald, but you should also... the Colts are running through everybody, and until that offense kind of slows down, I think it is Shane Steichens, and obviously he's led the way since the beginning of the year. But they have the Falcons, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Jags, the Seahawks. So actually, there is a head-to-head right there between the Colts and the Seahawks. They have the Jags twice and the Texans twice. So still key games in the division. Weaker games in the division for Steichen, so could end up with a better record. But yeah, we do have that head-to-head matchup. Let's see, December 14th. So,
well, the Colts schedule does get significantly tougher, right? Because they already had the Titans twice, but I mean they've beaten good teams too. They beat the Broncos, the Cardinals. We just saw the best of them, but then they lost to the Rams. They had the Dolphins on there. And what you just mentioned, pretty tough. Even the Falcons isn't going to be easy, but Chiefs, Texans, Jags, Seahawks, Niners, Jags again, and Texans. So
this Falcons game is over in Berlin. So they do have to go travel overseas, which ultimately I think favors them. And we got Matt's thoughts as well. The Falcons under Raheem Morris are not a very good team having to travel. So
no. And Chris Andrews is kind of talked on that note too, that he doesn't think they're a very well coached team.
Yeah. But speaking of Chris Andrews, if we want to get into now teams, the league as a whole, offensive and defensive efficiencies, Chris Andrews did update his offensive efficiency. Is much happier with the ratings of the offense, has been happy with the defense for almost the entirety of the year. But we can dive in now.
Yeah.
Make sure I got it. Yeah. So the number one offense is the San Francisco 49ers, but their defense is middle of the pack at 16. Really, if we look at the NFC West, their offenses, the Niners lead the way with the offense, the best offensive in the league according to efficiency, and then the rest of the offenses are kind of middle of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
But the defenses, the Seahawks and Rams are top 3, the Niners are the middle of the pack, and the Cardinals are 21, so below average.
Still, we've been talking about how competitive that division is, and look at no team with either side really bad ratings by any means.
Yeah.
You want to go through some other division leaders and see where they stack?
Yeah. Sorry, it's just I need to figure out a better way for me to visualize this. Sean, can you throw it up for me, please? Okay, so yeah, if we just go the 4 teams that are currently top 10 in both, the Colts, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, and the Packers are top 10s in both. And the Broncos are, if you consider 10.
Right.
But yeah.
So the Chiefs, the Colts.
Colts are 11. Okay. Chiefs, Patriots.
Patriots. There it is.
I don't know if we updated this.
Rams are no.
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think this is right.
Okay.
Yeah, because if we're going, we mistakes there. Mistakes were made. Yeah, ultimately the top Best defenses in the league. Chris has the Texans and Chargers tied at number 1, has the Cardinals at number 3, Seahawks at 4, and then a 5-way tie between the Broncos, Packers, Chiefs, Eagles, and Vikings to round out the top 10. And then offensively has the Bills, the best offensive efficiency, the Cowboys, number 2, the Colts, 3, Bears, 4, Rams, 5, Lions, 6, Chiefs, 7, Packers, 8, Niners, 9, and Seahawks, 10.
And those are the teams that you want to be betting on, putting your money on. Top 10 in either of those, both, it's even better. But, I mean, that's really interesting. I love it. We'll have the graphic tomorrow or Friday when Chris Andrews is here on the desk for Football Frenzy. But always good stuff. And it's good to see him like this week's and getting that text that he felt much better about it. We'll switch over to my top 10 quickly before we still got to get to today's action, any bets that we like, and looking ahead to this weekend with college football, week 11 already. So going through my top 10 quickly, it's not a big difference. Couple kind of switched around and one snuck into my top 10, believe it or not, but Lamar Jackson is back. So I'm going to start from 10, and I do have the Green Bay Packers. Big drop from them. They were 6th last week, and I've had them top 5 for quite a while now. So moving down to 10 with that loss over Carolina. I thought they were a little bit too high, regardless, for most of the season. Number 9 is the Baltimore Ravens with the power rating, adding Lamar Jackson back in there, was 6 last week with a big win and cover on Thursday night. Another little bump, so they are there at 9. Number 8 is the Colts. This is not adding in Sauce Gardner, so we'll see how they look this weekend. But right there, very close to number 7 with the Philadelphia Eagles, who did not play, but still with the Colts losing and falling from 4. Eagles kind of bump up there from 8. Number 6, the Denver Broncos. Cannot quit them. They haven't dropped out of my top 10, but they have danced all around it. I think this is probably a good spot for them at number 6, a top defense, but an offense that has definitely struggled to start the first half of the season. Buffalo, now this is a 3-way tie, so I just kind of put them in this order. They could go, they all have the exact same power rating for me right now. The Buffalo Bills, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Los Angeles Rams. I did ultimately put the 2 NFC above, not intentionally, but Buffalo coming off a big win over the Chiefs, so I didn't really move them. I had them as a 1-point favorite at home against the Chiefs, so my number was better than the books, and I didn't have to adjust too much. So Buffalo 5, Seattle 4, and the Rams at 3. Seattle did jump from 7 to 4 with that dominating Sunday night win. These two did not move. The Detroit Lions, number 2, and the Kansas City Chiefs, number 1. I say they did not move, but their power rating did drop a little bit points-wise. So now from 1 to 10, for me, it is a 3-point difference from Kansas City to the Packers. So on a neutral, Kansas City would be about a 3-point favorite over Green Bay. So that's how tight the power ratings can be sometimes. And why it is pretty crazy to see double digits or a 14-point favorite in the National Football League. But so there's my top 10. The only difference, I had Tampa Bay at 10 last week, and I did not have the Ravens in it. And Tampa Bay's right there at 11, followed by the Niners, the Chargers, and the Texans. So that is it. And let's take a quick break. When we get back, we've got some more action tonight. Not the best of games. I do have one play, though, in one of them. We do have some college basketball games. Not too many, though, just 14. Creighton, the only top 25 ranked team as of right now. 11 NBA. We'll see if Ryan wants to throw a dart or likes anything on the hardwood. And then we have 5 hockey games we will get to. And then, of course, Bruce Marshall's plays. So don't go anywhere. We've got a lot coming here on Sports by the Book.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone.
Looking to bet smarter? Get sports betting insight and winning picks straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I think we're going to get goals from both sides here. Give me over 5.5.
That is also one of my favorite plays of the weekend is the Colts -3 on the road.
So you're getting plus 130 here.
I mean, how can you go against Tusky?
Exactly.
Join Sports by the Book Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific and bet your winning edge.
We are back here at the South Point Hotel and Casino. You are watching Sports by the Book. Remember, you can find us Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. And then on Fridays, a 2-hour special for you. Football Frenzy on a Friday that is at noon to 2 p.m. A full hour of college football. We will go through as many Week 11 games as we can, and then a full hour of the NFL Week 10 already. So make sure you join us. Bookmark it. Coming up this Friday at noon. Ryan, we had a poll asking about the first initial playoff picture and which team people would bet on to miss the playoffs. And then let's get into tonight's action.
Okay, yeah. So first update, you guys on the poll. Which team is least likely to make the college football playoff out of 4 out of the 12 that were named last night? So Notre Dame plus 275, Oregon plus 180, Ole Miss plus 650, and Texas Tech plus 240. Those odds are all via DraftKings. Those are all no to make the playoff. And the results were as I read them. So 44% of our viewers going against the Fighting Irish, saying they will not make the college football playoff. Not winning a conference hurts them there. So, but we'll have a hockey poll coming up here in a second. We'll finish the show talking about the 5 NHL games today, but for now we'll go over to the gridiron, talking about college football, some action for you. We've got Kent State at Ball State. As I mentioned earlier in the show, 30 of the 32 home teams today are favored. These two games are no different or fall into that category. So Ball State -3, 47.5 here at the South Point.
So revenge for both of these road teams. They both lost at home to this opponent. So if you give them a little bit of home revenge there, I still can't have a big enough difference to want to take the point. So I made Ball State 7 here. Give Kent State a little bit back, and I'm at like 4.5. Ball State favored at home. Not a big enough difference that I want to lay the 3, especially with revenge on the mind. These two teams are very similar, 3-5 on the year, 2-2 in conference play. Both quarterbacks under 60% passing completion. Now, DeShields for Kent State, 11-2 ratio is very good. One of the better ratios there for the MAC, but really nothing that I want to jump in on. Kent State's defense is far worse, so you're looking at the home team with the better defense. We saw it play out yesterday in the Mid-American. Not that I'm saying it's going to again, but nothing for me in that one. I'm looking at the second game, though. I do like the first half under. I saw some 21.5 out there. I'm okay with 21 as well, but both really good defenses, and Northern Illinois' offense has been awful this year. I made Toledo about 17 here at home, gave Northern Illinois a little bit back. They lost at home. 13-6 to Toledo last year. So given that 2.5-point difference, and I'm right there with the line. So I don't want to lay it. I think that they are worthy of being this big of a favorite at home. But I do like Northern Illinois' defense, and Toledo's is even better. Points per game, Northern Illinois giving up an average of 23, 5.1 yards per play. And then Toledo, 18.3 points per game, scoring defense, and 4.2 yards per play. So maybe even looking at Northern Illinois team total. But I said, too, last year's final, 13-6. I'm hoping it's a slow, low-scoring game in that first half. 42, I'm right there. That's what I did make it a little bit lower. I made it 40, but I figure first half could save me from that, any craziness at the end there. So that's it for me. Any thoughts for the Mid-American or Maction for you tonight?
Nothing for me in the Maction. We'll just go over to the hardwood now. So we'll briefly mention the only ranked team in the top 25 in college basketball today, Creighton at home against South Dakota. They are a 29.5 point favorite against South Dakota. Only reason why I wanted to mention this is because Creighton hired High Point's head coach from last year as one of their assistants. So Creighton, we have known the past few years to be a high-paced offense. That will only add to it. So I think 30 is a lot to cover in this game. I won't be playing it, but the pace of this game should be 168.5 is the total. So I'm liking the over there.
That's a high total, and usually that indicates that they couldn't make it high enough for these basketball games.
And then the one thing I wanted to mention in the NBA with 11 games today, look at the lineups, but it will be the season debut for Darius Garland, the Cleveland Cavaliers point guard. Donovan Mitchell as well, but Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland led the Cavs to the 1 seed last year. They were the most efficient offense in the NBA. So getting that back tonight, they are now a 10.5 point favorite. That just moved to 10.5. It was 10 for a little bit. Total at 235.5. Joel Embiid is a game time decision. With Darius Garland coming back, you should expect good guard play from the Cavs, but know that the Sixers also have good guard play in Tyrese Maxey and their first pick, VJ Edgecombe. So if Embiid does play, I think this will be a closer game. If he doesn't, I would expect this number to balloon more. We'll see in 11. So as of now, it's a stay off. Would like to see or get an actual note on whether or not Embiid's playing. He did play last night, so
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, does he play on back-to-backs? Because he ended up playing yesterday against the Bulls, which impressive comeback win for Chicago there.
Yeah, I would honestly kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
He did play the most minutes he's played in a game this season last night, so I would expect him to not play as much tonight. So that might be why you're seeing double digits and it moving increasingly more to the Cavs side. So
no, I will just say the Sixers have been pretty impressive even when Embiid has not played. Really Tyrese Maxey and then the rookie has really stepped up. So that's something to watch for. But they've been one of the teams to cover often. But still, it's a good point because the Cavs were so dominant last year when they had all three of them in the lineup. So,
and I guess the other point that I wanted to make was the only two road favorites on the card today in college basketball, NBA, NHL, and college football are both on the hardwood in the NBA. It's the Houston Rockets laying 8 here at the South Point on the road in Memphis. Total is at 232.5 in that game. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, defending champs, are 4-point favorites in Portland against the Trailblazers. That total is at 228.5.
Anything that do you like either one or just a observation?
Observation is, I would first thought, I think the 4 is not enough in the Thunder Trailblazers game, but then you realize that the Trailblazers are winning since losing Chauncey Billups, so they're playing good basketball. They're actually playing like they care about playing winning basketball. So I would tend to think that's going to be a tighter game, and the 4 could be good, but if you tend to like the favorites and like the bigger name team, the bigger name brand, SGA, I saw a stat, let me pull it up real quick from, I believe from OptaStats, was like the first player in NBA history with 250 plus points, 50 plus assists, and the team not losing Let me make sure I got that right.
Love OptaStats, of course.
Yeah. SGA is the first player in NBA history to have 250 plus points, 50 plus assists, and no losses over the first 8 games of a season. So the Thunder playing good basketball.
Wow. I guess you could say worth that $72 million.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about the contracts off the air. Just a reminder that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be making $78 million a year once we hit 2031, I believe. So almost $1 million per regular season NBA game played.
Insane. Really. Honestly.
Must be nice.
Yes. To the ice?
yeah.
We got 5?
We can go to the ice. We got 5 there. All home favorites. We'll start in Toronto. The Mammoth getting plus 130. Total is at 6.5 with juice to the under.
Oh, okay. Initially, I was looking at Toronto because I don't think that is high enough for them at home. Austin Matthews, we saw him really step up the other night, but I just like how this Utah team is playing. So I'm going to pass. I think 6.5 is the correct number. It is the only total that I made higher than 6 on the night. So I have nothing, not enough to jump in. Anything for you?
Nothing for me there.
We've both liked this Utah team, but now it's kind of fizzled out a little bit. So we'll see how these two match up. This should be a good watch and kind of get to know both teams a little better.
Yeah, plus the Leafs seem like they're kind of getting back to form, getting some rhythm there.
Definitely.
We tried to fade them with the Penguins, and they ended up fighting back and getting a win there. But we'll go to the next one, St. Louis on the road in Washington. Both of these teams are on a back-to-back, or first night of a back-to-back. St. Louis will stay on the road. We'll go to Buffalo tomorrow, and Washington will go from D.C. to Pittsburgh to play in that Sidney Crosby, Alexander Ovechkin rivalry game. But as for tonight, the Capitals minus 140 here at the South Point. Total is at 6 flat.
I really need to have my trends. Not that I'm just playing on trends, but I do like to know like current form, how these teams are playing. And I know I like unders with the Capitals, and looking at that coming off a 4-3 loss to the Sabres. But before that, 4 out of 5 went under. I made it closer to 5.5. So this is a lean to the under here at under 6 with Binnington and Logan Thompson both starting. So that is one I like. I probably will play that under 6.
I like that as well. The under 6, yeah, those 2 goalies in net. We did include this game in our poll for the NHL. So which NHL team is most likely to improve their home record tonight? And we went with teams that are all below 500 at home so far this season. So the Capitals have 3 regulation wins, 4 regulation losses, and no overtime losses at home so far this season. They are minus 140 here against the Blues. The Flames have 1 regulation win, 3 regulation losses, and 1 overtime loss at home so far this season. They are minus 110 against the Blue Jackets. And the Canucks have 2 regulation wins, 3 regulation losses, and no overtime decisions or losses. They host the Blackhawks tonight and are a minus 165 favorite. So go ahead and vote there. Let us know your thoughts of which of those not so good so far at home teams will end up improving their record. So we'll go to the next one, the Flames and Blue Jackets. Flames, depending where you go, this game is a pick, and it is a pick here at the South Point, minus 110 both sides. 6 is the total with juice to the over.
I mean, the only way I would look to play it is looking at Columbus. I do think that they are the better team right now, but really at a pick, not much value there because I made it minus 120 on the road, so I'd be looking to get even money back. So that's it for me. I think 6 is the correct number. I still don't really know. I guess this is what I need to watch too, because Jet Grievous, is that right? Don't know a whole lot about him. I got to watch and see, because kind of getting even time right now, kind of fighting for that number 1 goalie spot. But yeah, so nothing for me. I think the number's pretty right, pretty accurate.
This is Calgary's coming home off of a road trip. So we know that Calgary has had a trouble scoring so far this season.
Yes.
And the Blue Jackets are in the middle of a road trip. So I'll be going with the under in this one, under the 6 at the flat price.
Like it.
Or actually,
Love
I'm sorry,
Thunders.
minus 05. So getting a better than plus or minus 10. We'll go to Vancouver. This will be the Blackhawks on the road against the Canucks. It is a homecoming for former number 1 overall pick Connor Bedard. He is from the Vancouver area. It is just the 3rd time he is playing in the Vancouver area. So he will have a good amount of family and friends in attendance, or should. But with that being said, the Blackhawks have lost 11 straight games to the Canucks, have not beaten the Canucks since 2019. And I need to actually pull it up. So they played earlier this year. The Canucks ended up winning in a shootout. But prior to that, the Blackhawks have not covered a puck line since December 17th of 23. Before that, it was their last win. So don't really have much confidence in the Blackhawks here tonight. They are also in the middle of a road trip. They still have this plus 2 more games on the road. They go to Calgary and then Detroit. So I'm thinking we will get not much offense tonight, taking the under here, under that 6.
I did make it a little bit lower than 6 with these two, but I did handicap for Thatcher Demko, and it looks like Kevin Lincoln is confirmed. But he's played a lot of games for Vancouver. So I made it a little bit higher with Demko too. I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. Pretty cheap price there. For the Canucks, looks like your trends kind of go with that too, but I won't be playing it. But I think I made it higher than that. So good value there on the home team. But they have a losing record at home, right?
The Canucks do, yeah. They're 2-3 so far at home.
So maybe not a great value at this moment. And that is why we're seeing that.
Yeah, so I mean, we ultimately could end up getting the Hawks covering the puck line for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
But we'll go across the border, right there, Vancouver to Seattle. Kraken hosting the Sharks, almost the exact same pricing in this one, minus 165 on the home team, plus 145 on the road. But the juice is heavier to the over, minus 120 at 6.
Double checking goalies here for what I made it. I definitely like Seattle. I will be playing a little bit of the Kraken, playing some good hockey right now, and they're right there behind the Ducks and Vegas in that division. So made it higher. I think that's a good price. Maybe splitting it up, minus 165 on the money line and a little bit of the puck line there, plus 155.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Thinking Kraken on the puck line. Granted, we do know the Sharks are absolutely capable on offense. They do have some studs. But they do play with a lot of open ice. So we could see a good amount of goals in that game, and that's why we see the juice to the over. So
4, 6, and 3 now on the year. Not terrible for the San Jose Sharks. But on the other side, 6, 2, and 4 for Seattle. So do you think they are the better team? But I agree with that. It would only be a look to the over at 6.
Maybe we could try and find a market on will this game go to overtime? Thinking we'll get fight from the Sharks. Or I guess we did mention the puck line. But plus 155 on the puck line there. And then if we go overtime, winner, try and find it.
Well, depending on how you want to play it. So that would be a little bit of a hedge, right? Yeah. If you're playing the puck line, because then if you're overtime, you got no shot at that one, right. But getting a good plus price on either. Is that your favorite to go to overtime, or would you like the Blue Jackets and the Flames? That's kind of a dead even matchup. Flames at home.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, the 2 games that I would think would go to overtime would be the St. Louis Caps game, or the Blues Caps game, and then this Sharks Kraken game are the 2 that I think are most likely. I get the pricing, and that it would make the most sense for that one to be going to overtime. But just in my mind, how these teams play, I'm thinking those are the 2 games.
I agree with the Blues and the Caps for sure. Especially we both like the under. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. So 2-2 overtime, maybe even 1-1. Makes a whole lot of sense for me with that one. Shall we get our plays together? Did I miss anything? And we got trivia, polls, and we got to get our plays of the day. Oh, I missed Bruce Marshall. I did forget something. Let's go to Bruce Marshall's picks for the weekend. And then I've got 2 I'm going to throw out as well. But he has 5 for us.
Yeah, so included in we'll go start of the plays of the day. We've got Bruce Marshall likes Northwestern getting the points at USC. That game is on Friday, correct?
That game is on Friday, yes.
So yeah, going road team Friday, Northwestern, Big Ten matchup, getting the 14.5 at USC. And then likes an SEC matchup, likes Texas, likes the opposite side, likes the home team in the Texas A&M game. Missouri getting the 7 points. Then going to a Mountain West game. Air Force getting the 6 at San Jose State. And then we go to Coastal Carolina, minus the 7.5 against hosting Georgia State. And then another Mountain West game, San Diego State at Hawaii, under 50.5. So quick run through just for all of those. Northwestern plus the 14.5, Missouri plus the 7, Air Force plus the 6, Coastal Carolina minus 7.5, and San Diego State, Hawaii, the get right gravy, whatever you want to call it, under 50.5.
I mean, I don't know the trend, but I know a lot of those SDSU games have been staying under the total. Oh, checking my numbers, I did make it 47. So we'll lean that way for me as well. Awesome. I do want to check my Air Force. I am curious what my number is on that. Georgia State has not been playing good football this year, where last year a little bit more competitive. You could find spots for them, so I can't fault him there. Yes, I'll be taking the points with Air Force too. I only made this game 2. So getting 6 there, I like it. High total, as expected, with an Air Force game and San Jose State. But yeah, because they know the offense they want to run as well. 2 I'm going to throw out really quick, Ryan, just because the numbers, and honestly, we might get a better number from Temple because I'm surprised to see that one. But I do like Tulane on Friday. That's the road team I like, and they do have home revenge. Memphis won last year 34-24 at Tulane. So I like them having the opportunity to go back to Memphis and try and repay that. And then I also like Temple catching 7 against Army, and I'm surprised. I liked it at 6.5. I didn't make it that high. I believe we have revenge there as well. Well, you don't want to hear the score because Army won 42-14, so it was not competitive. But good news, Temple has already played a military academy here and played very close with Navy. They lost that game by 32-31. Thank you. 32-31. So already used to triple option. I think that they'll be ready for this one against Army. I think 7 points is too many.
Just another added note on both your Tulane plus the 5 and Temple plus the 7. Both of those teams are coming off losses, so the guys should be fired up and absolutely ready for this game.
And, I kind of, after this past weekend, reevaluated, okay, that was one of my worst weekends since college football. What did I forget? And it's the spots. In college football, you got to look for the spots. You got to know that these college kids are still college kids. They can have flat spots and not really show up for a game, and then you're going to get their best effort in the following. So things like that I definitely want to look for this week. Any dogs or favorites jump out to you for Saturday that you want to touch on now? And of course we can revisit tomorrow and Friday.
Not quite jumping off the page yet. Still have to do my research there. I
gotta see where, and I kind of teased it earlier, but I'm very curious with this Georgia game. And that's because I've been betting Mississippi State all year, and they have been a feisty underdog. They've been a really good home team. They already beat Arizona State at home, took Tennessee to overtime. Is this a spot where Georgia could trip up a little bit? Mississippi State coming off a big win, though, and it was their first SEC win in 2 years, so I don't want a letdown spot there. But 8.5 feels like a lot of points that they could definitely keep this one close.
Yeah, they've been competitive in games all year. So, I don't fault you for thinking that they can get it done at home. We got the Bulldog battle there. So, which one will win out?
It's funny. The market is going against us, though. 7.5 down to 8.5. So maybe we just wait and see if we get a 9, because that would be a nice key number there. But yeah, battle the Bulldogs. I love it. So we'll have more for you tomorrow that we can give out, looking ahead to the weekend. And then, of course, Friday, we'll have a ton for you. Football Frenzy at noon. Tomorrow, we missed Dwayne Colucci last week. He had a very busy schedule and the Breeders' Cup. So now he'll be back with us tomorrow morning. We'll check in with him, find out where all the money and the tickets are, looking ahead to the weekend. We also have a big AFC West matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Vegas Raiders. So we'll break those down. More hockey, more college basketball, more NBA here on Sports by the Book. Ryan, final things for you and trivia, and then we still have our plays for the day.
Yeah, so I'll do the first update on the secondary poll that we did. So the NHL version. So which home team has the best chance of improving their home record tonight, all of which were below 500 going into tonight. At home, the Capitals minus 140 against the Blues, the Flames minus 110 against the Blue Jackets, and Canucks minus 165 hosting the Blackhawks, and 57, if I can read my numbers correctly, 57% believe that the Caps will get the win against the Blues and improve their home record to 500.
The Caps, question for you.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Capitals, last year was, a ton of fun following the race, Ovechkin beating the record.
Yep.
Do you think this team can pick it back up, or you think it's going to be a down year for them?
When you're led by Alexander Ovechkin, I think he's going to get you fired up no matter what, regardless. I don't necessarily... I get the thought that the goals were a big implication and getting him over the hump. But now you're just adding on to it. And for those guys, you're playing with one of, if not the greatest hockey player of all time. Certainly the best that you'll ever get a chance to play with. And so maximizing the most of that opportunity and getting him his second cup, would absolutely believe that they are going to try and maximize their window and win at least one more while they still have Ovi there.
I agree. And looking at the roster, I mean, I think they have a pretty set, good roster all around. So maybe there's a time when we can jump in with the Capitals. Where are they currently?
You kind of have to think that they did believe that, and acquiring Logan Thompson and believing in him to be their netminder, kind of does show that. So, yeah, I absolutely think the Capitals will get more into form as we get later into season.
And 13 points right now, that is the worst in the Metropolitan. Yeah. So that's kind of just where my head was at. There's going to be a good point where we can get a good plus price, maybe even just to make the playoffs, win the division.
No, it's a very valid question, and we see even the defending champs are at the bottom of their division right now. Both the Capitals and the Panthers only have 13 points, not playing too well to start this year. So, but it's hockey. It's a long, grueling season for these guys, and those teams have the veteran leadership to push them through.
We'll look for hockey odds. Maybe that'll be a segment that we'll mix in starting next week on Wednesdays to go along with all of our NFL awards and odds updates for the rest of the season. But all right, is it time for whiteboard?
Yeah, we can go whiteboard, and then we'll finish up with ticker trivia.
Well, let's go ticker trivia.
All right,
first,
we'll go ticker trivia. It's presented by City Light Shine. Went with a basketball question for you guys today. On this date in sports history, November 5th, 1971, the start of the longest consecutive win streak in NBA history began. 33 consecutive wins for the Los Angeles Lakers began on this date in 1971. So who was the Lakers' point leader for that season is your ticker trivia presented by City Light Shine. And the answer would be Hall of Fame guard Gail Goodrich. Led the Lakers in scoring that season with a total of 2,127 points during that regular season. Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Jim McMillan were all part of that NBA title for the Lakers in their first season from moving over from Minnesota. So And another note, shout out to our guy Vince. The 33-game win streak currently stands as the longest win streak across all 4 major sports: the NBA, the National Football League, Major League Baseball, and NHL. It definitely won't get broken in the NFL, but maybe someday in Major League Baseball and National Hockey League. But we just to jump in on the National Hockey League, I'm pretty sure the Lightning a couple years ago, not necessarily just losses in general, because it was regulation losses. I believe the record was set by the Blackhawks in 2015 with like their first 28 games or so of the season. They did not take a regulation loss. And then I believe most recently the Lightning ended up taking that. But
Wow.
33 games is the longest win streak. Winning 33 consecutive games, absolutely impressive for the 1971 Lakers.
I wonder what MLB even is for win streak, because we were following the Brewers just this last season,
Yeah.
right? And it was like half. We were 16 wins in a row for them, I believe. But 33 is very impressive. It would be cool to see. And
26
wow.
26 games by the 1916 New York Giants. And it was broken because they tied with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So 26 games and then a tie for the 1916 New York Giants.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if any baseball team can beat that.
Most recently, the 2017 Guardians, 22 consecutive wins.
Very impressive to get that many. But I like your hockey angle where it's just regulation losses. That I could see a hockey team being able to keep that going. Yeah. All right, let's go to today's action, some plays that we like. I'll start it off with my whiteboard, and then we'll send it over to Ryan to wrap it up for the day. But I jumped in on Lamar Jackson. That one's looking good. Tyler Warren, not so much, but I'm going to add one more here for a futures bet with the coach of the year in Mike McDonald. I'm very impressed with the Seahawks. I'm going to take a little bit of that 5-1 there. Picks for today, I'm going with Northern Illinois and Toledo. First half, under 21.5. I believe that's the best number you can get. Just make sure it's under, or it's 21 or better. St. Louis and Washington, under 6. And then Seattle Kraken, puck line on the board, plus 155. I probably should have just put the money line, but I'm going to take a shot there that they can win by 2 in this one. So those are my picks on this Wednesday. Ryan, what say you?
I will go with 3 picks, all from the ice, all under the total. St. Louis, Washington, under 6. Chicago, Vancouver, under 6, minus 105. And San Jose, Seattle, under 6, getting even money.
Sounds like a nice little round robin. If it were me, I'd tie those 3 up and try and hit all 3 of them. Pretty good payout there. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope we got to any comments that were in there. Hopefully you guys had a nice conversation. Please jump in and feel free. Whatever you have, comment. What's that phrase? That's okay. We'll get back to it
Questions,
tomorrow.
comments, concerns?
Thank you. You read my mind there. Very good. Yeah, jump in. Please subscribe. Please share. Please like this video. We appreciate you guys being with us. Sports by the Book. Give us a follow on all of our social media. Sports by the Book LV on Instagram. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. as always. And don't forget Friday, big show, Football Frenzy at noon. So for the crew, for Ryan McCormick, I'm Alex White. We appreciate y'all watching. We'll be back tomorrow here on Sports by the Book.